What is up, everybody, and welcome to Hot Stove Podcast, episode 79. I'm your host, Zach Nunez, and I'm joined, as always, by Mark. Wait, I'm pointing on my screen now. Okay, Mark is there.
Yes, sir.
Josh is there. Special guest Adam Pallenberry is down there to my left. And arguably, which is crazy because we have a special guest on the show, arguably even more importantly, Austin is here in the flesh.
Yes! Come on!
Bang.
Austin finally has a webcam 3 years into doing this podcast. 2.5
proud.
years. Yeah, it's insane.
Can you hear anything with that hoodie on?
Oh, yeah. Barely.
For those who don't know, that's what Austin looks like. Right down there. He's got a webcam.
You guys already talked to me about my cam pointing too far up. I mean, my hands are on my nuts at all times. It's just gotta be pointed up, you know?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. At some point, I think it would be funny if it just kept going up every week, and at some point you're just pointed at the ceiling. You know? Yeah. Couple things before we get started. Just make sure to follow us on Twitter at Hot Stove Pod. It's at Hot Stove Pod on Twitter. Here on the YouTube channel, make sure to like the video, comment on the video if you feel like commenting, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when we post stuff, right? Coming weeks on the podcast are going to be kind of big, right? We've got this week. Mark and I just did our Oscars live stream on Sunday, which I thought went very well, personally. So we got this week. Next week, we will be doing our Hot Stove Madness episode, finally. I know we've pushed it back a couple of times, but schedules have been crazy, and we've been trying to figure things out, and we will be doing it as of next week because at the very least we have a hole in our content there, so we can put it right there. And then the following week, the last week of March, we'll be doing our MLB season preview. So that is a tentpole episode for us here at the show. So an exciting couple weeks coming up. And then probably afterwards we'll do some NBA postseason previews. Probably we'll talk about the NCAA tournament as it heads into the Final Four. If I had to take a guess, we will see. Right. Today, we are going to be doing I think this is either the third or the fourth time we've done this show.
I think it's the third.
Yeah, I think so.
The heads and tails were 2 years ago, and last year we added Adam to get rid of the coin flip.
Yeah. Which was great because the coin flip was terrible and it was really stupid.
I like the coin flip.
The coin flip was really
Let
dumb.
it be known.
Let it be known still exists, but the coin flip was hilarious.
Oh, shit. Let me pull out a Word document.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to.
I totally forgot
tracker.
just now that Let It Be Known's a thing.
Yeah, Austin will be taking note of every time we say "Let it be known" to see who's the most right about being contrarian.
I'm not doing Let It Be Knowns on any 3-2s. Let that be known.
Okay.
All 4 ones will be Let It Be Known. Because if you do 3-2 on Let It Be Known, it'll be Let It Be Known everything.
Yeah,
Let It Be
that's
known.
fair. If you're on an island, you got to let it be known.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So we are going to be going through and picking every game in the NCAA tournament this year. Like I said, this is the third year we've done it. And I'm excited. I don't want to belabor the point anymore. We've got a lot to talk about. And I told these guys beforehand, if we don't have anything to say about the game, we're just going to kind of make our pick and move on. But otherwise, because there's some of these games, probably a good handful of them, at least in the first round, that there's not much to say about it, right? Like the first game we'll talk about, and I'll share my screen here so we can see it. I'll be filling out the official Hot Stove bracket as we go along here. Like this first game here, Alabama versus Texas A&M Corpus Christi. I don't have anything to say about that game. Alabama's going to win, probably by a lot. If I had to take a guess, if anybody objects, they can bring that objection to the stand. But
buddy, let me tell you, I've watched a lot of Texas A&M Corpus Christi basketball this year. And by that,
I don't believe you.
I watched their play-in game.
The Islanders.
They're going to lose by 50.
Yeah. Both those teams looked abysmal last night.
Barring legislation, this game's over.
Yeah. Okay, before we actually start with the rest of it, I have a couple of things to read. Forgot about this. This is a TikTok that I told Josh about. So just some stats going into the NCAA tournament. Every national champion since 1993 has made the semifinals of their conference tournament. Now, I know that's a wide swath of anything, but the last 30 years, you have to make at least a deep run into your conference tournament. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 24 teams that meet that in this field. So that's one thing to know. 100% of the national champions in the last 21 years since 2002 have been both a top 40 KenPom offense and top 22 KenPom defense. Like I said, there are 7 of these teams that fit. That would be Houston, Creighton, Alabama, Texas, UCLA, Kansas, and UConn. Those 7 teams fit those qualifications, just so everybody knows. Every champion in the last 25 years has rested east of the center point of the United States of America. So if you see my phone here, that's just a fun fact for you. That red line,
Sure.
East of that, every champion has been east of that since 1990.
I have a feeling Adam's going to be picking somebody on the West Coast. Hashtag
UCLA's
they're
due.
Yeah.
Another one. This one's random, but I think it's fun. Since 2004, every national champion was ranked top 12 in the Week 6 AP poll this year, or that year.
All right.
Let me see.
We're getting more obscure. I like it.
Yeah, let me see who was in the AP6 poll, or who was the AP poll in Week 6. All right.
You can just look that up. It'll take it to you. I've looked that same exact week up.
That's what I got right
times.
now. It is the top 12 in the Week 6 AP poll. Duke, Baylor, Arkansas, who I don't believe did they make the tournament? I wasn't even.
They're 8th seed in the
Arkansas
Midwest.
Yeah, okay. Kansas, Arizona. Oh my god. Sorry. Siri is going nuts. I don't even know if you heard me say Arizona and Kansas, but Arizona, Kansas, Texas, Tennessee, Houston, Alabama, UConn, Virginia, and Purdue. Those 12 teams were the top 12.
My champion's still alive.
Each of the past 5 champions have been number 1 seeds in the tournament. Let's see here.
Did see that.
Since 2012, the 5-12 matchup in the first round is almost a dead split. The 12s or the 5 seeds have won 21 of those matchups, and the 12 seeds have won 19 of those games. And then over the past 10 tournaments, the average sum of the final 4 seeds is 13.7.
It's pretty low.
It's the average sum of the seeds in the final 4. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But those are some stats headed into the tournament. Now, let's continue. Let's move forward. Maryland versus West Virginia. I personally have picked Maryland in this game. A lot of my picks in this have been driven by I've seen obviously a lot of these teams play, but I do think like the team summary, for example, that's on ESPN, if you look at these games, is genuinely pretty helpful when it comes to like understanding just like the basic matchup between the two, right? Like each team's strengths and weaknesses are, and you combine that with like the base stats that are on there. I think you can make some pretty good estimations based on that. I picked Maryland. What about you guys?
I'm also on Maryland. I think West Virginia stinks. I don't know. I do not get the West Virginia love. I mean, they're 7-11 in conference, 4-8 against the top 25, only 5 games over 500. West Virginia, I think, blows. So I'm Maryland all the way. To
start the pitch for West Virginia here, God damn it, my grandma's calling me. How am I supposed to decline grandma? I'm going West Virginia. I gotta answer Grams.
I'm also West Virginia here.
Oh.
And that'll be a third on West Virginia.
Oh, this is already going to be my least favorite pick of the tournament. I hate West Virginia.
All right, hear me out.
Doesn't matter. Alabama's going to wipe both of them.
Well, yeah, this is true, but
There's a
All right,
couple
next
reasons
up.
I came to this conclusion. All right, well, let's tag this guy back in. He had all
Is,
things.
is Grandma alive?
Well, Grandma is Grandpa. No, I'm kidding. He's still alive.
Oh
For now.
my
I was
god.
gonna say,
I'm sorry. Here we go. You got to laugh about it. West Virginia. So West Virginia, the reason why I like them, what I was looking for in this tournament, I look for a couple things. Free throws, free throw percentage. They shoot a little bit better. It's pretty minimal. Coaching. Bobby Huggins has been here 25 out of his 31 coaching years. He loves the tournament. He is March. This guy's revived. And strength of schedule, to me, says a lot because everyone can win a lot of games, but who are they doing it against? West Virginia's got the number 4 strength of schedule in the country. They play in one of the hardest conferences in basketball, and they're a 9 seed in the tournament. They're feisty. I like them to beat the Terps here.
I think the Terps also played one of the hardest conferences of basketball.
yeah.
Fair. I mean, sure.
I
Okay.
I will say one of the things that I look at, for example, is going to be a team like how often do they turn the ball over? You know, that's one of like the simple things. Like there are some teams here where if they fall into like turnover heavy stretches or like teams that are prone to foul trouble. You know what I mean? But there's a couple of teams here that I think in particular matchups either would be prone to falling into foul trouble or, you know, a massive cold streak from 3, for example, teams that are streaky when shooting. There's a couple of them, I guess, that we'll talk about. One that comes to mind immediately when I think of like streaky shooting teams that could either go very well and, you know, that those teams end up in the Final Four, or it goes terribly and they lose in the first weekend. Yeah, we will see. Next up is one of the more popular 5-12 upsets that I've been seeing when it comes to people picking. That's San Diego State and Charleston. Now, personally, I don't agree with that. I have seen San Diego State play a couple of times, and I know that Charleston has a pretty highly rated offense, but San Diego State is too good defensively, and obviously they did it against better competition than what they'll be facing in Charleston. And Charleston, same. Like they played worse defenses than San Diego State most of the season. And even though San Diego State has had a couple of hiccups here down the line, I mean, it said in the preview they've still only lost 3 games since December 10th.
Mm-hmm.
This team is super well-rounded, really good defensively, and those are the kinds of things that I like to look for in teams when I'm picking. So I'm going to go with San Diego State.
I'm also riding with the Aztecs. I love their defense. They've been a really well-built defensive team for a number of years now. And, yeah, Charleston scoring like 80 points a game, which is really impressive. It's a really well-rounded offense. They've got, I think, 5 or 6 guys that average double figures per game. So, you know, really well-rounded offense. But I just think San Diego State, they haven't played a defense like that. Not that good. So I'm going to go with the Aztecs.
I'm so proud of you too. I really am, because you know this would be one that I pull up for Sharp or Stupid. Okay, everybody, Charleston is everyone's favorite mid-major this year.
Mm-hmm.
People love Charleston, and
Which
for
is crazy
really
because there's a
that
couple
long-
of mid-majors that I definitely like more.
Oh,
than
yeah.
Charleston.
and for that reason alone, give me the Aztecs. I mean, and they've won their conference.
I'm also on the Aztecs. I mean, Charleston, like you said, has a bunch of double-digit scorers, but who's going to be the guy when they go in a draw for 5 minutes?
They don't
because
have
they're
a guy.
playing- They don't have a guy who's going to be
Yeah.
able to get them out of that drought, and it's going to be brutal. Adam, are we letting anything be known here?
So, initially, my thoughts echoed you guys' to the T. Who is this Charleston? They suck. But my insider gave me a stat about 5-seed mid-majors and how they suck. And for that reason, I will be let it be knowing Charleston.
Adam on the public
Sound
play.
question.
Are we surprised?
Yeah, I mean, sure.
Next up, Virginia versus Furman. Now, personally, I haven't watched much Furman basketball this year. They are in the tournament for the first time in 43 years. But I do think that this is the kind of team that poses a pretty bad matchup for Virginia and their vaunted Cavalier defense that we've seen over the past, I don't know, close to a decade at this point, right? Furman is a team that is full of absolute flamethrowers, right?
Mhm.
They're top 10 in the nation in points per game. They're averaging 82 points a contest this year, and they take 46% of their shots from three. If they keep that run and gun style, it's going to be a tempo, I think, and a lot of pressure that I'm not sure the Virginia offense will be able to hold up to. You know, this is another one of those Virginia teams that's kind of slow and plodding, and again, they play a lot of good defense, so it allows them to slow down possessions and keep games close like that. And if this game is close, I am banking on Furman to be able to go in, have a couple of hot stretches, and maybe pull away in a close game here. I'm going with Furman.
I really thought I was going to be a let it be known on Furman. Virginia isn't that good. Virginia is they're a classic Virginia team without the 3-point shooting. They play the great defense or a good rebounding team. I've watched them probably 10 times this year. They don't impress me. They don't have that, the Kyle guy, the guy that's just going to go out and make a bunch of 3-pointers. They don't have that. And you're right. You need that when playing a team like Furman. I know they're a nothing school from a nothing conference that hasn't made the tournament in 43 years. But there's always a Cinderella. And I'm not saying they beat San Diego State moving on, but I wouldn't be shocked at all if Furman took this one. So they're my pick as well.
So, as Mark said, Virginia is not that impressive, but they're beating Furman. I mean, what are we talking about here?
I like it short and sweet. Yeah, I mean, I get that. Like normally, this is the battle of what is that? David versus Goliath, like offense versus defense, this and that. That's when two good programs play each other in my mind. And I go, this is the problem with the tournament, right? Because this is my head, right? I look at these teams, I'm like, how the hell are they going to match up? I do think though that Virginia probably plays a brand of defense that Furman doesn't see a lot in whatever garbage conference they stuck out of. So I'll side with Virginia, but upset be known could happen.
Yeah, I don't think there's a shot in hell for Furman. The spread's way too low. Virginia's going to dominate them. Virginia loses to teams that play good defense because they can't score. They don't play bad against teams who have the 250th ranked defense in the country. They're going to score 80 on Furman. There's no way Furman's scoring 80 on them.
Yeah,
so.
and Furman might shoot a lot, but I have a feeling they just get cold at one point.
That's fair.
They just lose all the momentum and poof.
All right, next up, Creighton and NC State. This one is pretty simple to me. I think Creighton is a really complete team, and they a lot in particular. I think like the one big question with Creighton is like they're not particularly deep. They have a very short rotation, but that doesn't matter in the first game of the tournament. And NC State, they can't hold up. I'm picking Creighton.
I'm not going to let it be known, but I will say this one was very tough for me, strictly because of that horrific stretch Creighton had, like after the first 7 games or so of the season. Where
but that's so in the past. They're not the same team.
I understand that, but this is like Josh sort of said it, like, how his head works. When you gamble on as much college basketball as we do, you remember stuff like that going into the tournament, and it really sticks with me sometimes. I had NC State in this game up until about 3 hours ago. I switched back to Creighton, but I've been going back and forth on this one because I don't think NC State is that bad. I think they can compete against a team like Creighton, but it depends on what Creighton team we get.
I'm sorry. I'd like to just let it be known that I'm watching Puerto Rico right now play the Dominican Republic, and I don't know who that was. I didn't quite. Oh, it was Lindor. Lindor just hit an inside the park home run. So.
And almost a follow-up triple by Kike Hernandez. He was called out at third, but they're sending it to replay.
How are you ahead of me?
Ooh.
Cable, baby.
Mark, I was gonna say.
Oh, now I see it.
I don't think.
It was because of my internet problems, Mark.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think he's out. But anyways, that's beside
So-
the point.
Where are you gonna say,
To
John?
throw it down to you, Adam, I don't think you would have needed to let it be known because Adam, knowing inside, aren't you on the Wolfpack here?
I'm on the Wolfpack.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Don't the Wolfpack play in the worst power conference in college basketball?
Doesn't
The
Creighton
ACC?
play in the worst conference in the tournament lately?
They're Big Six. But I mean,
Big-
yeah, kind of.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
the
he's
Big East-
safe.
Sure.
Big East
I'm
hasn't been
on-
great
yeah.
in tournament, but the Big Ten exists, so you can't call the Big East the worst conference in
Yeah, I
recent
just-
Ten is good.
tournament memory.
I'm out on the
Providence
Big East
made a
right
Sweet
now. I don't
16
know.
Yeah, that's
last week
true.
or last year.
The Big East,
Xavier
I think,
was good.
overperformed last year in the tournament, actually. But yeah.
But I am
understand,
on
I get
Creighton
what
in
you're
this
saying.
game. Nothing much more to say. Good coach. NC State stinks. Move on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Adam, you're on NC State here.
Yes.
Let it be
Let it
known.
be
Let it be
known.
known.
All right, next up, Baylor versus UC Santa Barbara. There are certainly plenty of questions to be asked about this Baylor squad. Personally, I don't think many of those questions will be asked or answered in this game. I kind of just side with the team that's a more proven commodity, if you will, right? Better conference, better strength of schedule, better offense, right? Like I'm just going.
Yeah,
Let's
Baylor.
just picking Baylor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Better
I love the
pizza.
Gauchos, but
I'll tell you one thing
Baylor.
about this game. Any team with a UC in front of their name, they score. We want the over. Come on.
Seems like an over game.
Oh, but yeah, I'm on Baylor as well.
Better ingredients. Better
Oh
pizza.
yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go. And we barely saved 9. Woo-hoo.
Yeah. All right, Missouri versus Utah State. I think this is a fascinating game personally. As someone who watched and bet on plenty of Utah State basketball this year, I have a pretty good estimation of how they play, and both of these two teams push a high pace. They score in bunches, both teams averaging around 79 points a game. The separator, though, and again, maybe it's competition, maybe it's whatever, right? But Missouri has a bit of a leaky defense. They're allowing 74.6 points per game as opposed to Utah State's 70, which obviously still isn't fantastic, but it is better. And in comparable offenses, and it's not like Utah State plays in the SWAC or anything like that, right? Like they play actual teams on occasion. I will be picking Utah State in this game.
I will also be picking Utah State, basically for what Nunez. I love the pace they play at. Speaking of an over game, Christ, I don't know.
Yeah, this game is definitely an over game.
Yeah, this seems like an over block.
I gotta see what the line is at.
Yeah,
156.5. That's my guess.
oh, that is high. But yeah, so I'd lean Utah State here just because in a shootout I like them a little better.
Josh.
It's 155.5, Austin. Yeah, it's a line. What a line. I'm on Utah State as well. Yeah, not much to talk about.
For me, it's a simple code. I'm taking a talented SEC team over a team who went 13-5 in a terrible conference, and I don't want to hear that conference is good because it has Gonzaga in it. That conference is awful, and I'll just take the more talented players, the better athletes. There's going to be a giant size advantage, and I don't mean like tall, I mean like strong, and that's going to be a problem rebounding. There's going to be a lot of second chance points for Missouri. I think it's going to be hard to keep them off the line. I love Missouri here.
Let it be known, Gonzaga is not in that conference. They're in the Mountain. Utah State's in the Mountain West Conference.
Yeah, they're in the
San
Mountain
Diego.
West.
Go Mountain
They
West.
lost
They're not even in the West Coast.
They lost to the Aztecs in the championship. I believe those are the only two teams here. They're in the Wyoming,
Yeah.
Utah
Oh,
State.
jeez, they went 13-5 in that conference.
Yes.
Jeez.
That conference is better than the WCC. The WCC has the Dons of San Francisco, who were mad this year.
Jeez.
St.
Mary's,
Mary's and Gonzaga.
Santa Clara. They're
Santa Clara.
Adam, did
I-
you pick who are you on?
I am also on Missouri. I kind of agree with what Austin said. I mean, Missouri played 10 games in conference, or in the top 25, and they won 6 of them. And Utah State was 0-2, and they only played 2 teams in the top 25. I just think Missouri has more experience. They got better athletes, and I like what they saw in the game against Tennessee that they won in the SEC tournament.
All right, next game, Arizona Princeton. I think this one's pretty simple. Arizona has one of the best offenses in college basketball, and Yale ain't walking through that door against Princeton. So this game, I mean, has real blowout potential in my opinion. I'm going with Arizona.
Yep.
Arizona.
Arizona.
Yep.
All right. Moving on to the round of 32. We're going to go region by region. Moving on to the round of 32. Alabama versus West Virginia.
Bama.
Personally, I'm going with Bama.
Yeah.
Yep. Adam?
I hate saying it, but Roll Tide.
Oh, okay. I thought you said let it be known.
Yeah, I was going to.
Next up, San Diego State versus Virginia. Now, Josh, you talked about, Virginia, or Josh and Austin, you talked about, Virginia, where they struggle is against teams that play good defense. Enter San Diego State.
Sure.
A team that does play very good defense and has an offense that isn't great. Like it's not a great offense. It is serviceable enough to go along with the defense that they play. I think these two teams are actually very similar. Like they're almost like the Spider-Man meme where they're pointing at each other. But I will be going with the Aztecs in this game.
Ooh. I'd probably go San Diego State as well. Just I've got them moving on in my bracket just because I have them playing Furman in this matchup. So yeah, I'd lean San Diego State, but you're right. These two teams are the Spider-Man meme. They're identical.
Yeah, this is one where it came down to, again, another thing that I'm taking into advantage here, or into account for these ones. Coaching, give me Tony Bennett, and give me a team in Virginia just playing a couple states down in Orlando rather than a team out in San Diego State who's got to travel all their fans across the country. Give me the home field advantage by a little bit here for Virginia. I like the
Don't hate it.
Cavaliers.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm just not appreciating this Virginia downplay. I'll be clear. They were the best team in the ACC in the regular season, and Duke got hot and beat them in the championship. Virginia's a very good team. I don't see them being like peaking and being able to compete with the Alabamas and stuff like that. But I mean, they're a very good team, and I think their peak's better than San Diego State. So for me, it's like coaching versus I think San Diego State just has more talent at this point, but I'll take the coach with Josh. I'll take Virginia.
Didn't they score like 40 points against Duke?
They're not
I
an
believe
offensive.
so.
juggernaut.
That's the Virginia problem. They
Like
can do
the-
that occasionally.
Do you mean
So low.
the time they just lost to them, or
Yeah.
the first time when they beat them by 15?
No, in the championship.
Oh,
game.
okay, sure.
Yeah, they
sure.
scored 49. But yeah, when they
49,
beat them,
yeah.
they put up 69 on them. Sure. Give and take. I mean,
All
Virginia.
right, Adam,
beat
you're the
some good
deciding
teams this
vote
year.
here.
So I got Virginia beating Charleston, but put them against San Diego State. It's San Diego State. I like the bit about the home field advantage, but this game's going to be on either Saturday or Sunday. They're going to be adjusted by then.
Hey, Mark, I just want to let you know, San Diego State once beat a team named Fresno State 45-43. Do you think Virginia would get held to 45 against Fresno State?
You're right. They'd be held
Fair
to
point.
48. Okay.
Yeah, they would have at least
Yeah.
put 48 up on that board.
All right. Creighton versus Baylor. Remember when I said there are questions to be asked about Baylor? Those questions lie defensively, and I think those questions come to roost in this game. I don't know how popular Creighton is as like a sub 5 seed or like even like a sub 4 seed that can make a real run in this tournament, but I do think they have a fairly favorable draw in this way, and like I think that their pace and their consistency on offense might just be this is another over game to me, right? Like this game is probably very well going to be a shootout, but in a matchup where I think Baylor has shown definitely to be leaky and inconsistent defensively, I will be taking the Blue Jays of Creighton on this one.
I'm gonna go with
Baylor.
Baylor. This one was such a toss up for me, but I see in the little seed fact on ESPN, 3 seeds have won 9 of 10 meetings against 6 seeds in the past 7 tournaments. That's a pretty damning separation. I know that these two teams probably should be like a 4 and a 5, or Creighton should be higher seeded if Baylor's going to be a 3 seed. It seems like, it's a strange seeding, but I'm just going to go with history, and I'm going to go with Baylor.
This is, I take a lot into account here. There's strength of schedule, coaching. I like both coaches actually in this one, Scott Drew and Coach McDermott. Strength of schedule is just so much massive. I mean, Creighton's best win out of conference is Arkansas. Don't nickel and dime Arkansas, but whatever. Baylor's beat UCLA. It was early in the season. I get it. I mean, I think Baylor's high is higher, and I trust them to get it at the right time. It's chalk. I go Baylor.
You're talking about depth earlier. Creighton has 6 guys who play more than 10 minutes a game, 5 guys who play more than 15. That would be all their starters, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Baylor has 8 guys who play 15, and then they got 3 more who play 10. This is going to be the second game of a weekend. Creighton plays high pace. I'm scared that second half of that game, they're going to have no legs. Baylor's going to have open shots, and that's going to be scary for a good offense against a good offense. So I'll take Baylor in that game.
All right. Let it be known. I'm on Creighton.
Hey.
All right. Yeah, let it be known. Next up, Utah State versus Arizona.
Yeah.
It's Arizona.
You'll be Arizona.
Arizona.
Nothing, yeah. No. Love
Well,
Utah
okay.
State. Yeah. No. Give me. Yeah.
All right. Alabama versus San Diego State. I think this poses a pretty interesting matchup. Either San Diego State or Virginia would pose a pretty interesting matchup given how good these teams are defensively. But I just think that Alabama is too strong overall. I mean, Alabama is one of the few teams in the tournament, I think, this year that like really read as like a team without a very specific weakness, right? Like they've only lost 5 games. In those games, I mean, they had, like I said at the beginning, or like I was trying to hone in on at the beginning, they've had issues with foul trouble occasionally. Like if they get a little too sloppy and they start turning the ball over, then that's going to be a problem. And I think, sure, that's a possibility in a game against, again, either San Diego State or Virginia or a team like that can really put pressure on defensively. But I do think in this hypothetical against San Diego State that Alabama is just too good and too talented. They end up winning.
I agree.
I'm on Bama as well here.
Bama.
Bama.
All right, Baylor versus Arizona. I'm going to stick with what I was just saying with this defensive issues with Baylor in particular, and Arizona arguably. Well, I mean, what Arizona was what I was just talking, or who I was just talking about. Yeah, 82.7 points per game this season. One of the best offenses in college basketball. Another game that screams over, of course. If this game were to happen, the total would be like 160 probably. But I will take Arizona in this matchup.
I think Arizona could put up 100 on Baylor.
Yeah.
I got Arizona.
I love Arizona in this matchup.
Arizona.
All right, then Arizona and Alabama.
The
In the
inevitable.
Elite Eight. Yeah, the inevitable.
I think these two teams are so much better than the rest of the teams in this quadrant.
Oh
that
yeah,
if these aren't the 2 teams, I'd actually just be stunned.
yeah.
But it's
I
Alabama.
agree.
I go Bama as well.
Yeah.
I go Bama. I think they have the guy. I think Brandon Miller's the guy.
I think that son of a gun is really just the guy.
Yeah, guy's really good at basketball and not
him.
very good at being a person.
He's a great guy. Buddy asked for it back. He gave it right back. Good for him.
I gotta go Bama. I think Bama's the best team in the country, and so does the committee by putting them as the number 1 overall seed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
All right. So we have Bama advancing to the Final Four. I would like to know before we move on, who were your 2 teams in the Elite Eight in this region, and who do you have advancing to the Final Four? I have Alabama and Arizona I have Alabama going to the Final Four.
Bama over Zona.
Bama over Zona.
Yep.
Bama over Zona.
All right.
No, that's certainly not happening then. I mean,
No, I mean this,
Hey man, there's 4 quadrants.
my bracket
next up.
busted.
The East region. Purdue versus Texas Southern / Fairleigh Dickinson. Did somebody win that game yet?
Purdue. Oh,
Yep.
that game's over, right?
Fairleigh Dickinson dominated by like 20
They
points.
dominated. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Who
then
cares?
give me Fairleigh Dickinson.
The live
They're
second
gonna-
half line never had a chance.
All right.
They are gonna get overconfident and get wiped.
Next game.
Overconfident?
Memphis versus Florida Atlantic.
man.
Look, both of these
Um,
teams play in conferences that are kind of dog doo-doo, right?
We're calling the
Who's
American
Memphis?
a bad conference.
The American is an okay conference, right?
It's a
I mean,
mid.
like-
Houston,
better than the
Memphis,
Conference
Cincinnati, and
It is better than CUSA. Yeah, that's true.
Sure,
Not-
sure.
Boys from Charlotte or UAB, but
But you know,
yeah, go for it. Sorry.
I personally am going to roll with the team that's a little bit better defensively, and I think that's FAU. So I'm going to roll with them in this matchup.
I've also got FAU. Not buying into the Memphis hype. I do like the American, and I think Memphis certainly had a tougher strength of schedule this year. But I don't know. There's something about FAU. They're one of my teams this year. I like them.
I think Memphis won their game of the year, and it's FAU
What game would that be? Houston?
Conference
Yeah.
championship.
conference championship.
I got you.
They're flying high, but you know who flies higher? An owl.
Okay.
Fair.
Austin,
Yeah,
is this
an
gonna be a
owl
let it be
doesn't
known, or are
fail.
you on? Are you on?
Yeah,
Memphis?
it's gonna be let it be known for you.
Let it be known. Give me Penny.
Yeah, I think
Next
Penny's a fake, like big coach differential. I don't think that's a real coach differential.
Yeah,
I-
I don't think so either.
That wasn't my. No.
Yeah.
I'm just. Give it
No,
Penny.
Memphis is
I
super
mean,
talented.
If Memphis wins, I will not be shocked in any sense. They're probably
No.
the better team. They play in a harder conference. But
Yeah.
I mean, FAU, they put a season together. I mean, I gotta reward them a game.
They're a 30-win mid-major. Yeah, I'd love that.
Yeah.
Great.
All right, next up, Duke versus Oral Roberts. Duke is one of those teams that I was referring to that I think their biggest question is whether or not for an entire stretch or maybe an entire half, they just go completely cold shooting. But, you know, the talent gap, generally speaking, but this is why upsets are so fun. The talent gap, speaking between Duke and Oral Roberts, is huge. And Duke is, you know the adage, they're playing their best ball at the right time. That's what Duke's doing right now. They're playing their best ball at the right time. They're winning this game.
I like Duke here.
Yep, 9 in a row.
Oral Roberts is scary, and I think if they got a different 5 matchup,
I would
I'd be
pick them
more-
over any other 5.
I was just gonna say I would be more into them if they were playing anybody else, but Duke just feels too good right now.
I'd
Duke is a
certainly pick them over.
nightmare. Or go ahead, Josh.
I said I would certainly pick them over the worst ACC 5 team. Yeah, the worst of those two. Yeah, I would have picked them over Miami.
I would pick Oral Roberts over any other 5 because I think Duke is a nightmare matchup. Oral Roberts has a 7'5" center. His name is Kyle Vanover. 7'5". The only problem is Duke has 2 7-footers down low.
Yes.
Which that's the only reason
Yeah.
I like Duke is because they seem like the only team that could match up with Kyle Vanover. And those 7-footers, by the way, are really good, especially Kyle Filipowski. So I just think it's the worst matchup against the 5 Oral Roberts could have gotten. I would have picked him against anyone else.
Yep.
Filipowski. Wow.
Any let it
So-
be knowers?
Adam, were you on Duke?
Yes.
All right. Next game, Tennessee versus the Louisiana Lafayette Ragin' Cajuns. Now, I will say I got love for the Ragin' Cajuns. I think they're a fascinating team to watch. They're pretty good offensively, but Tennessee is probably just gonna lay them to waste. In this
So
contest.
Tennessee missing an important guard, important defender. but
Starting point
I
guard.
don't think it's going to matter in this matchup. I think they're just too talented.
Yeah, I don't know if it just is where this was the third region I went through, and I was kind of chalky, so I don't know what it is, but Tennessee does not excite me at all. I don't know if I was just fishing for an upset. I don't know if I had to just convince myself the Raging Cajuns could have a chance in this one. I mean, they're top 15 in field goal percentage. It's kind of like we were talking about earlier, right? With the same reason I said no on Charleston, where Charleston's good against a better defense, or sorry, Furman, the exact same situation, where
Mhm.
they're the better offense probably, but they're playing a much better defense or a better conference. But now I'm going to flip flop. So now I'm on Louisiana, just for the hell of it. I need an upset. This is the one I go for.
I'm also on Louisiana. I
Alright.
think that loss for Tennessee is big, and when you're out your starting point guard in the tournament, that can cause like a lot of problems. And Louisiana's good. I just think Louisiana's good, so I like the Raging Cajuns in this one.
Adam, you're the deciding vote.
Give me Tennessee. Go Vols.
Okay. Yeah.
Next up, Kentucky versus Providence. Now, I do think this poses an interesting matchup. I am a bit of a Providence mark myself, as I've been known to show in the show a couple of the last few years. But I do think that Providence has an opportunity here to pull an upset in the way that Providence is really good about a couple of things. They're really good about getting second chance opportunities. They're also pretty good down low in terms of getting to the stripe and getting those close possessions in at the foul line. The problem is whether or not they're going to be able to shoot as well as they might need to keep up with Kentucky's offense. But Kentucky has also had inconsistencies as well this year in terms of like how well they take care of the ball and foul trouble in that way. And I think that kind of thing poses a really tough matchup for them. I'm going to be going with the Friars in this game.
We've also got the Friars. Kentucky stinks. I'm out on Kentucky this year. I've seen them blow way too many games. It gets down to the end. I just don't trust them to close, and I think Providence is going to keep it close. So I like Providence in this one.
Every other year, this aspect of Kentucky is my favorite part of them, and the reason why I like picking Kentucky to go on runs. Calipari does not want to be there anymore. I don't know what it is. He doesn't care to coach at Kentucky at this point. Every big game, he owned Tennessee this year, beat them twice, great. Every other big game opponent, they blew. They didn't win a single out-of-conference game, lost UCLA, Kansas, Gonzaga, everyone. They stunk. They could not compete, and I don't think he cares enough at this point. Give me Providence. Who, by the way, Providence, that didn't close very well either. They lost to fucking DePaul.
Oh,
But,
I remember.
Oh, don't even get me started on that fucking game.
So it's not great, but I just think Calipari just has given up on the franchise there. So I don't know where he needs to go. He needs to do Passion Project and another garbage mid-major or something. I don't know.
Well, he can't get fired from this one for illegally paying players, so he's stuck there.
Yeah, that's legal now.
Yeah,
Can you
that's
buy
legal
strippers in NIL? Is that legal?
I don't know.
Come back to the SEC.
I was gonna say Patino will definitely find out wherever his next job is.
His first question. So will you tell me NIL? Can I buy whores again? Is that?
I'm going to be on Providence here, too. I just think it's way more likely that Kentucky just lays an egg. I mean, they just against teams who can score, they just, I don't know, they fall apart. It just seems so weird. So I'm out on Kentucky.
Let it be known.
Let it
All right.
be known.
Next up, Kansas State, Montana State. I think Kansas State is really fascinating. Great defense. They are a little sloppy offensively in terms of their turnover numbers in particular, but I don't think that it really matters in a matchup against Montana State. I will be going with the Wildcats in this one.
As much as I would love
State.
to pick the Bobcats, I would pick the other Bobcats over these Montana State ones. So I'm going to go with Kansas State.
Adam?
Michigan State.
Oh,
I'm sorry, Adam.
Adam?
I was just going to point out that after last year's Montana State outing against Texas Tech, they should have been relegated to Division II, and I never want to see their faces in the tournament again. Go
Let
Kansas State.
it be known. Let it be known. I got a
Oh!
big time upset here in Montana State. I have Montana State winning. Well, spoilers. I have them in the Sweet 16. I backed this Bobcats team last year against Texas Tech. I thought, maybe they got a little bit more experience this time. They're good from the free throw stripe, top 50 in field goal percentage in the nation. K-State's one of those Big 12 teams that's good. It's kind of like a WVU in mine. They're not a 3 ranked in my mind. They're not a 3 seed. So who knows? This is March.
What's
the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
What's the spread in that game?
A lot, probably.
I was gonna say got to be 12.5.
That's weird though. Some of these lines aren't like that though. I mean, Duke's line against Oral Roberts is like 5.5. Tennessee's is like 13.
Yeah,
It's like clearly they know what they think is going to happen too. I mean, I don't know. Ken Palm has a 9-point win for Kansas State. I bet it's somewhere
8.5.
around. There you go.
8.5.
Yep. All right, next up, Michigan USC. I actually don't really have much to say about this game. I didn't watch either of these teams this season. I'm betting against the Pac-12 in the tournament here. I'll be taking the Spartans.
This is such a conflict for me because it's my least 2 favorite conferences in the tournament. But Michigan State was on national television every single Sunday. That team blows. Michigan State probably shouldn't be in the tournament, let alone be a 7 seed. That team stinks. I'm all over USC.
Yeah, I'll tell you a couple things here. First off, there's a school shooting there, you sick bastard. Have some sense, okay? That's why they're in the tournament.
And
Second,
absolute
Tom-
tragedy. Doesn't make their basketball team any better.
Oh, buddy, you should know it does. Second, Tom Izzo. Tom Izzo, fantastic. They won that night against who they host? Indiana? Indiana's
Yeah,
a
they
4
won
seed.
that
They beat
night.
them. Yeah, it was big time. Anyways, Tom Izzo, another point. They play in the second biggest arena in D1 basketball. They're used to playing in big time stadiums, big arenas. That's not going to phase these guys. And anybody know where this game's being held? Anybody know? Because it's
I
over.
do not.
just
Columbus, Ohio.
Bang. Columbus, Ohio. Michigan State. They're right down the valley. They can throw a fishing pot over there. USC. It's no good. Give me Michigan State. I've seen this one before. Michigan State. I like the Spartans.
Sparty's got twice as many top 25 wins. Give me Sparty.
I'm on USC, but that's dead money at this point, I guess.
Let it be known.
All right.
Michigan State's terrible, and they'll find a way to lose every single game they play in. They blew a 20-point lead in 2 minutes to Iowa.
That's so true.
I mean, they'll find a
They
way.
got it out of their system.
They
right.
didn't get anything out of their system.
Next
They're
up-
terribly coached, and they suck.
Next up, Marquette versus Vermont. I'll tell you guys, I love this Marquette team so much. This is a bit of a spoiler for how things go later in my bracket, but I'm smelling something. Like Josh just said in the chat.
Do you smell that?
I'll smell a little something. I smell Marquette. Like I said, fascinating team. Like it says in the little preview there, I think what's most interesting them is how well they control the terms of the games that they play in. They're super fast paced on offense, and they are an absolute grind out defensively. I think it makes terrible matchups for a lot of teams in this tournament. I like Marquette against the Catamounts of Vermont.
Marquette for me.
Love Marquette. Absolutely love them.
Austin, I'm so sad to hear that because I may have to let it be known here. The Catamounts are this year's St. Peter's. They simply are. I think you want to talk about matchup nightmare? I think this Vermont team is a matchup nightmare for Marquette. Marquette hasn't played this type of brand of basketball yet. This Vermont team likes to slow it down, way down, big fella. I think they control the pace of this one. They're going to keep it far within the 13-14, and I think they got a chance at upset Marquette. So let it be known.
No, it's just Marquette.
Okay.
All right, Purdue versus FAU. Josh, I want to let you talk about this one because I know how much you don't care for Purdue. So I want to hear your read on a game like this. I picked Purdue, by the way.
My read is that Zach Edey is a mutant compared to anybody that FAU's seen this year. FAU's the biggest big man in Conference USA I can think of is Khalifa. Not me as step bro, but she has a couple more. It's he plays for Charlotte.
This guy's giving a quick 5, man.
But yeah,
That was what a
Edie
great
is-
joke.
Edie's a stud, and I don't think FAU is going to even come close to competing with them. I think Purdue runs them right out of the gym. So yeah, I think it's a domination.
Yeah, Zach Edey might be the most dominant player in the tournament for any single team. So FAU can't compete. I'm all over the Boilermakers.
Yeah. This is going to be one of the annoying games you'll ever watch in your life. I bet you Edie will shoot over 20 free throws in that game. I will not watch a Purdue game until the Final Four. I can't watch it. It's terrible. It's awful. But Purdue
Very
for me.
soft, yeah. Not letting the kids play enough.
They don't let him play. They call anytime you go near that kid to foul, and he shoots 80% as a freaking 9-foot human being. So it's always Purdue.
Yep.
Adam, do you care to chime in?
Purdue.
All right. Next up, Duke, Tennessee. Similar things translate from last round. I think Duke's playing their best ball right now. Tennessee pretty inconsistent down the stretch. Duke's got two. Duke was we were talking about 2 7-footers on the squad, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
They have size. They have strength. They got it. They kind of got it all. And like I said, they're playing their best ball right now. Duke is made for big moments like this. I'm picking big moments like the round of 32. I'm picking the Blue Devils.
I'm also on the Devils. I just don't trust Tennessee enough. Like I said, I had them out in the first round. So here, I definitely like Duke.
Yeah, the Vols got some of the biggest pockets in NIL in the country for basketball and football. It's not big enough this week. Duke, give me Charlotte indoor. I like it. Or Cameron indoor.
Cameron, yeah.
I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna be on Duke, but I'm gonna have to tell everybody Tennessee. If they get through this weekend against Duke, they're winning it all. I'm telling you that they're probably a top 3 team according to pretty much every statistic. And
BPI has them at number 2.
Vegas loves this team. They absolutely love this team. They think this team is going to dominate, and their starting guard is expected to be back by second weekend. This is the big game for them. If they can beat Duke, that team's going to be energized, ready to go on a run. So I think they're scary, but I still think, long weekend without your starting point guard, I don't think you get through 2 games. So I'm still going Duke.
Yeah, Tennessee is just allergic to the Sweet 16. They won't go near it. I like Duke here.
Based.
All right, next up, Providence versus Kansas State. We talked about Kansas State being that Big 12 team that's like, all right, they probably shouldn't be ranked that high, blah, blah, blah. Maybe I'm catching the Big East fever, right? But I will be taking the Friars in this game to pull the upset. The Providence, like I said, is a team that I think they play the fundamentals good, right? Like I talked about. They're good boxing out. They're good at offensive rebounds. They're good at getting all those second chance buckets out here. And that works. That works in a game against a squad like Kansas State that can give up possessions every once and again. They have turnover problems, that kind of thing. Like, those are the little things that I think can create some of these upsets. I'm going with the Friars in this game.
Yeah, Big East supremacy. I think Kansas State can go a little silent on offense at times. Like you said, cough the ball up. And I think if you do that against a team like Providence, who plays in such a hard-nosed conference that is used to playing a lot of games like that, then Providence is going to come out on top.
Yeah, I will say, to Providence's regard, their head coach, they like to keep it cool down there on offense and defense. But
Is that a joke about his name being Ed Cooley?
It might be. I don't know. The point is, this is a matchup I didn't have, but thinking about it, if K-State just wins the first week, it'd be hard for me to think that Providence could then beat. Oh, in my mind, then would be a good Big 12 team. Probably. I don't know. I'd go K-State in this matchup.
Yeah, I'm all over K-State in this matchup as well. I actually think they're a phenomenal team. So I'm all over them.
I am also on Kansas State.
Damn it.
All right.
Damn.
All right, Michigan State, Marquette. Well, I'm going with the Golden Eagles.
Marquette for me.
Personally.
This is so easy for me. I mean, I think DePaul might beat Michigan State if we're putting up against.
All right,
a
DePaul
Big
fucking
East team,
sucks.
so.
DePaul
Right.
beats Michigan State 6 out of 10 times. I agree.
I mean, yeah, it just doesn't set up well for my Elite Eight matchup between Duke and Tom Izzo again. But yeah, I'll go Michigan State, to be honest with you. I really think this team can make a run. They're the best 3-point shooting team in the nation, and all these teams do is shoot threes in this tournament. So
I'm also on Michigan State. Marquette's luck's going to run out at some point.
Next up, Purdue versus Duke. This matchup, you're gonna talk about fouls on the man Doug. Not to say they won't happen, but this game probably is set up to get pretty physical. But in that sense, I just think, like I said, I think Duke has kind of put it all together at the moment. I like the Devils.
This one's tough. Yeah, I just saw that in the chat. 4-26 for Miles Sanders. I'm gonna take Purdue, even though everything I said earlier about Duke being a nightmare matchup for Oral Roberts because they have the one really big center that can dominate a game also applies to Purdue. But Zach Edey is certainly better than Connor Vanover because he's 7'5" and goes to Oral Roberts, so he can't be that good. So I think Zach Edey might just be the singular most dominant player in the tournament. So I'm gonna ride with that and take Purdue, as much as I hate the Big Ten.
we haven't gotten to that side of the bracket yet, but this Zach Edey fella gives me big time Drew Timmy vibes. If you catch my drift, just a big, tall, dumb son of a gun that I can't stand.
No.
And he stinks.
Drew
Is
Timmy.
Drew
actually-
Timmy playing in his 9th year at
He
Gonzaga,
is.
by the way?
He's 38 years old.
Yes.
Yes. But no, give me Duke here. They're the hottest team coming into this tournament. Well, outside of the Vermont Catamounts, I mean, they won 15 in a row. But yeah, give me Duke here, and yeah, that's my pick.
I'm on Duke as well. I'm going hard overhead. I just think they're going to find a way. They got big bodies on the wings. They got big bodies inside. They're just going to attack them all game, trying to get them in foul trouble. As soon as you get 3 fouls on that guy, the game's over. Purdue cannot win a game without that guy on the floor. You look at plus minus stats. When that guy's off they're terrible. They're just a terrible team. So Duke will find a way with their size to get him in foul trouble, get him off the floor.
I agree.
I'm on Purdue. I just think they're just better in most categories.
Yeah, I
And
can't
next
get to
up,
let it be known.
Kansas State
Yeah, I
versus
know.
Marquette.
Mark
Look,
wanted to let it be known.
Want to let it be known.
I think we're gonna try
Yeah, the
by
one
way,
seed,
moving
let it be
forward,
known.
that once we get out of like the first couple rounds, we're just gonna try and speed it up a little bit.
Mhm.
We're already on an hour here, and we've only gotten through almost two regions, so just like to get that out there. I will be going with Marquette in this matchup against Kansas State for all the reasons we've already stated.
Yeah, same.
Kansas State for me.
Kansas State's just the better division. I root them. I picked them to lose in the first round. I picked them both to lose in the first round. I don't know. Pick whichever one. What does it matter for me? If it matters, I'll think about it more.
I don't know, Adam. Who are you picking?
I was probably going to be on Marquette here.
That it does
I-
not matter.
I have neither of these teams in this.
Austin,
Team,
let it
but-
be known for you, buddy.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't want to even think. Yeah.
All right. Duke versus Marquette in the Elite Eight. Who do you like and why? I probably, it's funny. I'll spoil it for you. I have Marquette in my national championship game. Now, as we're talking through this, I'm kind of just throwing myself into Duke, I feel like.
Yeah.
Now, I have a pretty interesting stat to bring up when it comes to predicting Final Four teams, is that over the last, I think it's 20 years, the numbers have basically bore out like this. Roughly half of the Final Four teams have been number 1 seeds. Another quarter of them, or give or take, have been 2 seeds, and then the remaining quarter of them have been 5 or below. So generally speaking, that's probably a good way to think about it. And not that those things can't change, right? And I'm seriously considering changing my pick to Duke as we speak, because again, these are the 2 teams I have in the Elite Eight, actually, in my own personal bracket. But I think, I think I'm going to change my pick to Duke. I think I'll pick Duke here.
Yeah, I personally have Marquette over Purdue, but I like Duke better in a matchup against Marquette, so I would also pick Duke.
I got Duke over MSU in this game, and I'll go Duke as well in this matchup. I think Duke is the hottest team in the tournament coming in here, and I love Duke. Give me Duke.
Yeah, I mean, if Duke gets here, they're just going to keep on rolling. I'd be on Duke in this matchup.
So we're all on Duke. Just kidding, it's Duke.
All right. Next region. Adam, who'd you have in the Elite Eight in your own personal bracket?
I have Purdue losing to Kentucky.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. It's passion.
That's
For the
amazing.
record, I now
Kentucky
have
basketball.
I now have Duke beating Marquette.
I have Kansas State beating Duke.
Mark, who did you have?
Oh, I had Marquette, or I had Marquette over Purdue.
Gotcha. All right. The Midwest region. Houston, right?
Yes, Houston.
What the hell are we doing?
Yep.
Yeah, it's
Planet
Houston.
Look at
Next
all the way-
game. Iowa versus Auburn. I really like Iowa's offense, generally speaking. I think they're pretty explosive. I'm going to pick the Hawkeyes in this game.
Same.
This game is being held a stone's throw away in Birmingham, Alabama. How that's even possible, I don't understand it. This is a home game. This is a home game. Auburn is going to win this game. Give me Auburn.
Auburn.
I think this is a bad matchup for Auburn, but I like the home effect, nervousness. Shooting teams aren't going to come out hot.
It should actually be illegal. I'm sorry to keep going. It should be illegal for teams to play this close
I
to where they play.
agree.
Birmingham.
I didn't realize this game was in Birmingham.
I'm waiting for the year where Dayton is a play-in team,
Right.
and then they just get a home game.
2 home games.
Now,
crazy.
now
It's
knowing that
wild.
this game's in Birmingham, I've switched my pick to Auburn.
All right. Let it be known. I'm on Iowa.
Let it be known.
Let it be known. Next up, Miami versus Drake. Now, there's already been some Miami slander in this podcast so far, so I will hand it
They
over
stink.
to you guys to talk about it. I have Miami winning this game, but
I agree. I don't get the Miami slander. I think Miami's good. They've got the ACC Player of the Year and Isaiah Wong. I just think they're probably the best team in the ACC, at least before Duke got insanely hot, I would have said it was Miami. So I love Miami here. I've heard a lot of upset talk in this one too. I just think Miami's a good team.
Yeah, I bet Miami to win the ACC tournament. It's Miami here.
Miami.
I'll be on Drake here. Absolutely.
All
I
right,
think
let
Drake's a phenomenal team.
Let it be known.
Let that be known.
So here's the thing about the next game, Indiana Kent State.
Here we
I
go.
think if we're talking upsets and we're talking a team that can make a run, Kent State is one of those teams that I'm looking at. Now the problem is they're a little small, but guess who's small as well? Indiana. I'm going to take the team that I understand. Right, Kent State plays in the MAC. I get that. Right, I get that, and I know that Indiana plays in the Big Ten. But I think this Kent State team, they're feisty, they're good offensively, they're sound defensively. Again, their real problem is their size, but that won't be an issue in their matchup against Indiana because Indiana also isn't a very tall team. I will be taking Kent State in this matchup against Indiana.
This game reeks of onions. Kent State shoots so many more threes than Indiana. I like Kent State here.
Onions!
3 words. Trace Jackson Davis. He's going to absolutely take over this game. Kent State can't stop him. Give me the Hoosiers.
Hoosiers.
Yeah, I'm on the Hoosiers have a higher upside, better team. Everyone's going to be on
Bitches.
Kent State. Kent State might even be favored by game time. You know what that's going to do to the mentals of the better team? They're going to come out swinging.
Oh, they're not going to be swinging with threes.
They don't need to because Kent State sucks.
Mm-hmm.
All
right,
we'll say,
next up.
Kent State out of conference games, Gonzaga, Houston, Charleston, all lost within only 7 points to all three of those teams. So
Wow, that's impressive.
It's a 4-point line.
Close only counts and horseshoes
yeah,
and
it's
whatever
it's
the
a
fuck.
4-point line. Everyone thinks
Horseshoes and whatever
this
the
is
fuck.
the matchup.
All right. Well, next up, Iowa State versus Pitt. I don't know how you guys feel, but Iowa State started leaving me with a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth. And I know that I've bet and lost a lot of money on Pitt in the last few weeks. I'm probably going to continue to fucking do that because I will be taking the Panthers in this game.
Yep, same here. I keep betting on Pitt and losing. Then of course I don't take them in their play-in game and they win. So I'm going to take Pitt as well.
Yeah,
Iowa State has some disgusting wins against Baylor at the end of the season. That's just not who they are. They're not a good team. Pitt grinded out a win the other night against Mississippi State. Iowa State doesn't play defense like that. I think Pitt will be ready, warmed up, good to go. I think Pitt wins that game.
Iowa State. Am I the only one? Iowa State is a top 10 defense in the nation. I'm going to go with Iowa State.
They're a sit on the ball team. We hold the ball for 29 seconds out of the shot clock defense.
Well, they are 327th in adjusted tempo in the nation.
Holy
so,
shit.
They like
Oh,
the
this
ball.
game
they
is
don't-
gonna be ferocious to watch.
Jesus.
Yeah.
They don't have
But they
athletes.
force-
They don't grind defense. They
They
sit on
force
the ball.
turnovers. A 25% turnover percentage on the defense. I mean, 1 in 4 possessions, defensive possessions.
Teams only
they
have
turn the
20
ball.
possessions a game, man. They only need 5.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy.
Jesus.
Yeah,
Give
you're
me
the
Iowa
only
State.
one on Iowa State.
Let it be
I had-
known.
I had
Cyclone.
I had Pitt winning this game before yesterday's game even happened. I bet Pitt to win.
Let it be
I
known.
just like 'em.
Iowa State 14 top 25 games played.
This
That's
team's experienced.
disturbing.
All right.
They're
Next
9 and
up,
5 in those
Xavier
games.
versus Kennesaw State.
Roll Big East.
Yeah, man. Big East supremacy. I'll be taking Xavier.
Yeah, not much to say here for me.
Yeah, as out as I am on the Big East, I mean, here it's just Xavier.
Yeah, Xavier.
All right. Texas A&M versus Penn State. Good for the Nittany Lions. First time in the tournament in like a decade or something like that. The problem, though, is that I feel personally that Texas A&M will underseed it. I think this is
What
a
is
bad
this
matchup
seeding? This is the
for
worst thing
Nittany
I've ever seen.
Lions.
Yeah.
Texas A&M is winning this game.
Them and Iowa State should have just been swapped. You could swap those two, no one would have said a word. I'm all over Texas A&M in this game, by the
Then-
way.
Then Texas would have had to go through both those teams instead of just one. So
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Austin loves the better team. He's a big better team guy. A&M, a little bit of the recency bias here for just their run in the tournament, I feel like. And they do
No.
play well in their conference.
what about Penn State's run of the tournament?
Bango. Give me Penn State here.
I'm also
me
taking
Texas
Penn
A&M.
State.
Penn State went 10-10 in conference. Texas A&M went 15-3 in the best conference in college basketball.
Yeah.
Onions.
Real.
I mean, this isn't recency bias. How long do you think it takes to play 18 conference games?
A&M was
They went
beating
12
Alabama
days.
for so much of that game.
They went 15-3 in the best conference, only had 5 top 25 games, and the strength of schedule was barely in the top 40. I mean, yes, they played in the hardest conference, but they clearly didn't match up double with some of those better teams. Let me look at how many times they played Alabama.
And they almost beat Alabama.
Yep, they played them once in the regular season.
You-
One.
They
You
won.
just said close only counts and horseshoes and whatever the fuck. So
This is whatever the fuck.
I mean, they beat Tennessee in the only matchup. They beat Arkansas 2 out of 3 times. They beat Auburn both times they met them. They beat Missouri both times they met them. I mean, what's
Their
going
losses-
on here?
To me, almost their losses speak more.
Their
I think
losses are
Kentucky
all
State-
in December and November.
They lost to Mississippi State in February.
Mississippi
End of February.
State is actually a quality
good
team,
team.
though.
yeah, they were just a playing team.
Yeah, they looked like dog shit the other day. Whatever. You won it. Just let it be.
Yeah.
You won.
I mean, no. The problem was you were coming at them like they weren't recency biased and the better team. Yes, they're the better team, and the recency bias is on Penn State. They're the bad team who had a hot run. You're just being your opposite on this. What's going on here?
I fully admit mine is entirely recency bias. That's why I picked Penn State, because I just liked what I saw out of them in the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah, see, that's
Yeah, I mean they're 8-2 in their last 10. They're hotter. Yeah, sure. I mean recency bias. Who cares? Who cares,
now you're back on your team's the reason. He's all over the place.
All right, next up, Texas versus Colgate. It's Texas.
Colgate.
Okay.
No, I'm
I
on
don't-
Texas, unfortunately.
Yep.
I wanted to pick Colgate so bad in their first round matchup that I saw who they were playing, and I was so upset. Yeah, it's Texas.
Yeah. All right.
Houston.
Yeah, it's Houston.
All right.
Let it be known, this is a home game, and Houston's without their
Oh.
starting guard, so
Here
it's
we
it's
go.
Auburn.
Home
Auburn
game's
can
better
play
in
up
the
with
second
any
round.
team.
How long
doesn't
is
yet.
Houston going to be out with out said starting guard? Do we know?
I'm pretty sure he's out for the season. It's Malik, or is it Marcus Sasser?
Something like that.
Yeah.
He could play then potentially, but game time decision for this week. I don't know.
All right, Miami versus Indiana. This is kind of gross, don't you feel? I guess I'll go with
Yeah.
Miami.
Miami.
I like Miami, yeah.
Indiana for me.
Rock you like a hurricane.
All right,
Let
let
me
it be
know.
known for Austin on Indiana. Pitt and Xavier. How long is Pitt's grit gonna take him through this fucking tournament? That's
Not-
the question.
Further than
Not
this
very.
round. It's Xavier.
Yeah.
It's Pitt for me. I think Xavier's not good.
How do I? Yeah, give me Pitt at this point. If they're hot, they just make the Sweet 16 here. As
Yeah,
they
that'll be a
play
2-game win
into
streak.
that.
They'll be
Yeah.
feeling it. It'll carry them through the
You know
weekend.
what? You know what? I'm feeling it too.
All
I'm
right.
feeling
Yeah.
Panther Mania.
Let it be
We're
known.
going with Pitt.
No, I'm also on Xavier.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna say, there's no way this dude's getting to let it be known 3 versus 11.
Yeah, I'm also on Xavier.
Incredible.
Next up is going to be
Texas A&M for me.
Texas A&M versus Texas.
Texas.
I'm on Texas.
Yeah, I'm also on Texas.
Texas.
All right,
Hey,
let it be known.
just kidding.
All right.
Let it be known.
Houston versus Miami.
I think I have to pick Miami. No, I don't know. Somebody else pick something.
Houston. Give me up.
Houston.
Miami. I think Miami's terrible. So
Yeah, actually, at this point, I'd probably pick Houston anyway. So
Pitt versus Texas. I will be taking Texas. This week.
Texas.
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 I'll be taking Texas in this. Let it be known I had Xavier beating Texas in this round.
Okay. Houston versus Texas. The battle to go to Houston.
Texas.
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 Nunez.
Mark, did you already give a pick?
No.
No. I'm on Houston. I
Damn it. Why can't I get a let it be known? Son
Given
of a bitch.
look, the health questions surrounding their backcourt are large, right? This is a thing I am concerned about. However, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling Houston. They're coming home, like that one song, that Diddy song.
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
coming home and whatnot.
I'm familiar.
Yeah. I will be taking Houston, but hey, it's Texas that makes it out from this bracket. Right?
Yeah, I'm also on Houston.
So who did everybody have in their Elite Eight here?
This. Texas over Houston.
I had
Houston over Xavier.
Texas over Auburn.
I have A&M over Houston.
Oh!
Oh, I got Houston over Texas in mine. We will move on here to the West. Kansas versus Howard.
Kansas.
Horde?
Kansas.
Arkansas versus Illinois.
Give me Arkansas. I don't
Same.
know
I
what
am
to say.
also on Arkansas.
I am also on Arkansas, despite their disgusting top 25 record.
I really love Frank Underwood, but I just can't get behind him in this one.
So this game
Nobody
gave me the most trouble to pick because I'm staring at this is the Spider-Man meme for me, but I'm glad everybody else is on Arkansas because I'm also on Arkansas.
Is
Right.
is BPI just like someone just rolls random die?
I think so, yeah.
14?
I have no clue.
Yeah, I mean,
All right. So next up, VCU versus St. Mary's. I will make the declaration that the big, well, I can't even call them the big Cinderella because I don't have them making it far enough. I'm on VCU in this game. I think they're big, they're talented, and St. Mary's frauds. All right, they're frauds from a fraud conference. Okay,
Yes.
VCU is going to take them to task here.
You want to talk about a fraud conference? The freaking A10.
A10, yeah.
Disgusting.
but
What was it you were saying?
I'm on
earlier
VCU
on?
as well.
Adam, you were saying earlier about mid-major 5 teams?
Yes. I was going to
Stink.
say, I don't think that St. Mary's is a fraud, but the 5 seed mid-majors they lose most of the time. So give me VCU.
VCU's also got a guy. They got a guard who can go get it when they need it, and that's a
VCU's
fun.
got-
team.
And the VCU players are just assholes. They will get into these players' heads of St. Mary's and make them so pissed
got
off.
grit.
They're not gonna. They're not.
They got
gonna
the
wanna play.
A10 grit.
are we all on a 12 seed?
I believe so.
Let's go.
Yes,
Are you
sir.
talking about
Yeah.
Adrian Ace Baldwin? Is that what
I
you're
mean,
talking about?
I don't know if you guys think about it this way too, but partially the reason is I don't think St. Mary's would get past UConn, and so who cares
Yeah.
if I have them lose it in the
Yeah.
first round because I don't think they're gonna win 2 games. So
Well, I'm not too convinced that UConn makes it past Iona. I got Iona here.
wow,
I have UConn. I have seen this Iona team play this year. They're not very good. They were lucky to make it out of the MAC. All right,
Mm-hmm.
they got pushed by Marist, who somehow made it to the MAC final. I would have shot myself if Marist won that game. Right. Rick Pitino might be back coaching the Big East next year, but he is getting a little taste of it in this tournament here. And UConn, again, I got questions about their consistency in particular and how they hold games down the stretch, but I will be picking UConn. They're just better. They're just flat out better.
I'm taking UConn, but by no means do I love them.
Just
I think this could be a surprise, but I'm gonna go with UConn.
VCU also matters for this point that I'm about to bring up, but the disgusting level of both of these teams are closer to the vicinity, closer to Albany than I am.
Jorge
on my drives
Lopez
I make
just
every
threw a
day.
ball, I think,
I mean-
4 inches out of the strike zone that was called for a strikeout. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
this umpire stinks. He called one on Devers earlier that was atrocious.
All right, what were you saying, Josh?
They play in Albany. This is ridiculous. They're both very close to Albany. Obviously, UConn might even be closer. But how does this happen? VCU, that should have been stated against St. Mary's. Who's traveling to Albany from St. Mary's? Nobody.
Yeah.
Virginia is a solid ride. Wait, 8 hours? I'll come up. Who cares? Yeah, give me UConn. I'm not buying Patino. What are we talking about? But it should be illegal that teams get to play.
yeah.
this.
I mean, his West Coast teams are
Insane.
getting like just
They get
robbed.
shafted.
Is that a let it be known for Adam?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
All right, next up is a matchup between TCU and a team we have not decided yet. That game, I believe, is going on currently between Arizona
Yep.
State and Nevada. Personally, I don't care who it's between. I fucking love this TCU team, and I will be picking the Horned Frogs here.
Go Frogs.
Yeah. Well, for the, I mean, if we had Pitt going in this one, that's the Cinderella. I'll take TCU here.
I love TCU.
I don't
I've-
love TCU, but I hate these teams more. So TCU.
All right, Gonzaga versus Grand Canyon.
Don't get me started on Grand Canyon, man. Don't start. This is the worst team that's ever touched a tournament game.
I
Ever.
agree.
Move on.
I agree.
But
But, and I'm not doing a let it be known. Do they play with some fire after their uniforms and equipment got left behind? They didn't have anything for practice today.
Oh my
Is
god!
this a narrative game?
isn't that something on the checklist there? Jerseys.
Yeah, they,
like-
they didn't have jerseys. They had nothing. They had to practice today, apparently, in whatever shoes they were wearing from the plane and whatever T-shirt they had, and hopefully they had
Oh
some
my
gym shorts on.
God,
So
that's awful.
just throwing that out there. It's Gonzaga, but
All
I'm
right,
looking for a narrative.
Yeah.
next up, Northwestern versus Boise State. Look, maybe Boise State isn't the right team to exploit this, but like Northwestern can't shoot.
They can't score points.
They can't score. Like, again, maybe it won't matter against Boise State, or I'm picking Boise State, by the way. I'm just like
Yeah, same.
Maybe this game won't be the one to like throw the glaring thing at it, but like shit, Northwestern can't score.
Northwestern blows. Give me Boise State.
Well, yeah, and I mean, it's a quick hop down, hop, skip, and a jump on I-95 down for the Boise State fans compared to a 30-hour car ride here for Northwestern. So give me Boise State over in sunny Sacramento, baby.
All right.
I'll take
Speaking of sunny
Northwestern.
Sacramento, hop, skip, and a jump away would be the University of California at Los Angeles, who will be winning their first game against UNC Asheville.
Yes, they
Is
will.
everybody's on Boise State. I'm on Northwestern. Is that a let it be known?
I was gonna say I'm on Boise State. Both those teams screwed me gambling, but Northwestern screwed me more, so I hate them.
All right, Austin, let it be known on that matchup. All right, next up, Kansas versus Arkansas. I don't know. Does anybody quite have a read? And maybe somebody could tell me better who's watched college basketball more closely this season. Do we have a read on how good Kansas is comparatively to last season? They returned most of their players,
They're
right?
not as good.
They returned a lot of guys, but they're not. I don't know. They don't have the dominance factor.
Yeah,
that
they
did
lost
last year.
a lot of games in the middle of the year,
Yeah,
to TCU and somebody else. But
I think the hardest thing when talking about Kansas is Bill Self's health.
I mean,
They
I
won
saw
2
him
games in the
described as
tournament.
day to day earlier, which I've
Heart
never.
attack. Yeah,
Like,
that's funny.
It was like it was like on FS1 on the bottom, college basketball. Kansas coach Bill Self listed as day to day. I'm like, what the hell? What's he got a hamstring strain? No, he had like you say, he went into cardiac arrest.
Well,
Yeah.
for this game, I do think these two teams are fairly similar numerically, but I think Kansas is probably still a little bit better around the margins. I'll be taking the Jayhawks in this one.
Same.
Yeah, give me
Yeah.
Kansas. Those pesky Longhorns made you think worse of them lately, but they're still pretty good.
Yeah, if Kansas wins the Big 12 championship, they're probably the number 1 overall seed, and
Right.
that's for a reason. So I'll take Kansas there.
Next up, VCU versus UConn. I was talking about this already. UConn scares me in terms of their consistency. We were talking about VCU's got that A10 grit. Well, UConn can be pulled into some wild shit occasionally. I will be going with Virginia Commonwealth University in this game. They got the guy. We were talking about a guy who can take over, right? And I will be taking VCU.
I really like UConn. I've been on UConn all year.
Yeah.
I really like the way this team is put together. I don't think there's a chance in hell they lose to VCU.
Give me JUConn.
I think this is a good matchup for VCU. I think they're bigger than people think. They're stronger interior than people think, but I also have liked UConn since the get-go of the season, so I'm on UConn here.
The A10 Whisperer. Speaking of VCU. So,
Dayton
I'm
was
on
in this
UConn.
tournament. I have them losing by 20 in the first game, so
I have VCU losing to Iona, but if they get a cupcake like UConn, I got VCU here.
Yeah. Love
Let
it.
it be
he
known.
just loves VCU.
No,
wait,
Nunez
Nunez.
is also on
Union.
VCU.
Yeah, okay. Sure.
Next up, TCU versus Virginia. Like I said, I don't know what it is, but I like the TCU team a lot. I'll be taking them over Gonzaga here. I just think that their biggest thing is their control down low, getting both second chance buckets. They're a good rebounding team, and I think that can carry you a long way in a tournament like this. They have the wins, like we already talked about. They've beaten Texas. They've beaten Kansas. They've beaten Baylor. They've beaten Kansas State. This TCU team is just they're good, man. And I understand Gonzaga is real good. Is it the number 1 offense in the country?
That's
they're
right.
averaging 87 points a game.
They shoot 53% from the field.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But I'm taking TCU in this one. I got a feeling. So every year, I haven't talked about this yet. Every year, I have a mid-ranked Power 5 team that I latch onto as a team that's just going to make the Final Four. Previously, Austin remembers this. It was Florida back in our freshman year of college. It has since been Ohio State. It was Alabama when they were like a 5th seed a couple years ago. It was Arkansas last year, and this year it's TCU. I feel it with these frogs that are horny. All right, I'm taking the frogs in this one.
I got to go with Gonzaga. Call me public, a square, whatever. I got to go with Gonzaga.
Honey, where is my headband? Where's my headband? You typical. Bang! Gonzaga.
I mean, do we want to see a TCU UCLA matchup, or do we want a Gonzaga UCLA matchup for a little rematch of that game a couple years ago? Give me Gonzaga.
Yeah. TCU plays at a high pace. They haven't seen high pace. You play Gonzaga, you try and get in a pace battle with Gonzaga, it's disturbing. That team is fast. They shoot as soon as they touch the ball. I'm scared for TCU. I'll take Gonzaga this game.
Let it be known.
Let it be known.
Let it be known. Let it be known. Boise State, UCLA.
Chalk it up.
Not
Yep.
even, that's surely not even a game.
I had
They don't even have to play that.
I had 2 conferences or 2 regions that I was 1 and 2 in the Elite Eight. So, just 1.
Well, and I assume we're going to be 1 and 2 in this one. I will be taking Kansas. I go over UConn. So I'm personally not much of a UConn guy. They scare me.
Same. Kansas for me.
Jayhawks.
I'm on UConn here.
I'm also on UConn.
Oh
So is that 3 for UConn? I'm sorry.
no, Kansas.
Syria
Kansas won
Okay.
it.
Okay. UCLA Gonzaga. I mean, this game makes me horny just thinking about it. This theoretical. And in this case, if Gonzaga has already caught fire playing the last game against TCU, I expect them to keep rolling, and I'd be taking them against UCLA.
Number 1 offense versus number 1 defense in the country. This is where it matters. Not the San Diego State Charleston one we were talking about earlier. This would be the behemoth matchup. Give me points. Give me Gonzaga. Timmy.
I think UCLA wins this game if they're fully healthy, but they just lost one of their guards who plays 30 minutes a game and averages over 10 a game to a torn Achilles just in March. I think that'll be the difference. I'll have Gonzaga roll on.
Yeah, give me the Zags.
What do you got, Adam?
Well, I was on UCLA, but now I'm reconsidering things. But I'm going to stay with. I'm sticking with UCLA.
Bang!
Let it be known.
Next up, Kansas versus Gonzaga. Again, if we've made it this far, maybe Bill Self's a little day to day. Look, if Gonzaga has already made it this far to the Elite Eight here, they're probably feeling it. They're probably riding high off some great performances. I like them to continue. I like Gonzaga against Kansas.
Yeah, in this matchup, I would take Gonzaga.
Give me the Zags. Meeting up with Texas.
We talked about earlier how a team needs to play good defense to win a championship. I mean, Gonzaga just plays it's going to catch up to them in a game. And if they're playing against Kansas is too good. They slow the pace too well. I would take Kansas in this matchup.
Damn it. I thought I had a chance. Let it be known. But yeah, I'm also on Kansas. Give me that 4th matchup of Texas-Kansas at the Final Four.
All right. Who did you guys have in the Elite Eight here in the West?
I had UConn over Gonzaga.
I had Gonzaga over Kansas.
I have Gonzaga over UConn.
I got Kansas over UCLA.
And I've got TCU over Kansas.
Ooh,
So
come on.
we're getting spicy over here. We're getting spicy. All right, so in the hot stove bracket, Final Four, we've got Alabama versus Duke and Texas versus Gonzaga.
Some blue bloods.
Yeah, that's
This is
major
my Final
blue
Four.
bloods here. This is actually your Final Four?
This is my Final Four.
Damn.
Yeah.
Nice. All
I
right.
don't know if it means anything.
No. I mean, I think that's cool. Alabama versus Duke. I just think Alabama is just a little bit more perfect, if you will. They're not the perfect team, right? They can get tripped up just like anybody else. And in a long tournament like this, there's plenty of ways that a team can lose. But I just think Alabama's complete. And I think that there's a possibility that after multiple games grinded down against great competition, Duke might start to wear down a little bit, and they might start to revert back to some of the ways that, I mean, they are a 5 seed for a reason. Like, they had the season they had. I mean, the great run that they had was great, or is great at the moment. They're riding super hot into the tournament, but I will be taking Alabama in this game.
Yeah, I'd also be on Alabama in this matchup pretty easily. I think, like I said earlier, I think Alabama's the best team in the country. There's a reason they're the number 1 overall seed. I just don't know if a team like Duke can stop them.
Yeah, outside of Arizona, they're not going to face too much hard competition. They're going to be well rested, and they're going to come into this game and dominate.
I don't know if there's a bad matchup for this team. I couldn't name a team in the country that would be a bad matchup for Alabama. So I'd go Alabama here as well.
This is where the rubber hits the road for Duke, and Alabama wins.
All right. Next up, Texas versus Gonzaga. I haven't pontificated on this matchup very much, but I do find it fascinating. I'd like to hear what you guys think about it first before I say anything.
Texas dominates. Wouldn't be close.
Yeah, I just think Texas, they're a good defensive team. And for as great as Gonzaga is offensively, Texas also can keep up on the offensive end if they have a good night. Now, Texas can go silent at times, but I don't know if they would against a defense like Gonzaga's. So I would lean Texas in that matchup.
It's almost like these teams played this year.
Yeah, that's true.
One of them
Texas
won by 19.
Yeah, I was going to say Texas won by like 20. So I don't think it would be that bad. I don't think it would be a blowout. I think it would be much closer, but I think Texas would take it.
Yep, horns up.
I'm on the Zags.
All right. Well, that is in for Texas. I probably lean Texas as well.
Is that a let it be known?
That's a let it be known.
Yeah.
Just let it be known for Josh. Yeah. All right. National championship, Alabama versus Texas. Like I said, I will pass it off to you with the knowledge. I would like you guys to give me your reads on this game, what you think, and who you would have winning this matchup.
I mean, I'll just go with the team that's the national champion on my bracket, and that's Alabama. They do everything well. Everything you would want a basketball team to do that's built to go on a run like this, Alabama does. They can shoot, they can defend, they can get inside, they can make free throws, they can force turnovers. Every single thing. I don't think they're going to get into too much foul trouble against a team like Texas. It would be a physical game. This would be a very fun matchup, I think, because these are my 1-2 teams in the country. And I wouldn't be able to pick against Alabama here. I've got them on my bracket, and I think they win this matchup as well.
Yeah, you know, when you're filling out a bracket, and for the sheer amount of upsets that you're going to see, sheer amount, you want to find ways for number 1 teams to go down. But I cannot find a way this team goes down, so I have Alabama winning it all.
Yeah.
Bama. Yep.
I have Bama as well, and I believe that means that all of us had 5-0 Bama in every single game they played.
That is insane. That is absolutely
Also,
insanity.
can anyone figure out for me who the hell is above Alabama other than Houston in this BPI stat? Who is 2?
Tennessee is 2.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
BPI fucking loves Tennessee.
Everybody, I mean, every stat loves them. Vegas loves them. That team, there's something about them, I guess.
All right. Let's give our, what are we thinking for a score prediction before we submit?
I believe I had 70-64. A little low scoring, meaning that, the Texas, well, mine was Gonzaga. Even Texas kind of holds them a little bit, but a little low scoring, but they still win pretty handedly.
I would say this one is lower scoring. On mine, I had Alabama over UConn. I had UConn in the championship game, and I thought that would be higher scoring. I had mine 88-84. I thought that would be a shootout. But this one, I would say probably 74-70.
Yeah, I'm thinking somewhere upper 70s to low 70s here. That sounds right to me.
I got 76-69.
I have 72-68. So we'll put it somewhere around like 73, right? 73 to
I'd say
60.
75, like 75 to 70, I think would be
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
That sounds average.
Okay.
Yeah.
That works. All right. Well, that does it. We have our national champion.
Not
Our pick
entering
for
the
hot
All-State
stove
bracket.
How many
Or,
upsets do we got in the first round?
Let's see.
They say you're supposed to have 9, at least 9.
We
Okay.
have Providence. We have Utah State. We have
West Virginia, count it.
That
Pitt.
doesn't count.
It counts as one upset, man.
we have VCU. We have Boise State.
So
I think that's 5 or
we got
6.
6.
Yeah.
Well, we're under the curve a little. We're a little chalky, but that's how these things go. The more people you add to them, the more
Yeah.
chalk on average
Yeah.
they become.
Yeah.
I got 10 in my personal bracket.
All right. Let me see how many I have. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 7 in mine.
I have 9.
Yeah, hey there. That's the amount they tell you you're supposed to have, man.
All right.
Right
Well,
on.
I will ask you guys before we head out of here. Who do you have in your final 4 in your personal bracket, and who do you have winning it all? I will tell you right now, my final 4 is I have changed it a little bit as we've been sitting here talking through all of this. My final 4 is I have Alabama and Marquette in one matchup. Then I
Same.
have Texas and TCU in the other Big 12 matchup there in the final 4. And I have Alabama beating Texas in the national championship game.
Yeah, I had Alabama over Marquette and then UConn over Houston, with Alabama beating UConn 88-84. Grandma is calling Josh
Yeah,
again.
I was just gonna. All right, my final 4: Alabama and Kansas State, and Texas A&M Gonzaga. I got Gonzaga beating A&M, Alabama beating Kansas State, and then Alabama beating Gonzaga by a large score to another large score.
All right, Adam, what about you?
Yeah, last year's Duke UNC Final Four matchup inspired me for my Final Four matchups this year as far as rivalries, conferences. I got Alabama over Kentucky, I got Texas over Kansas, and I got Alabama beating Texas.
All right. And then I believe Josh had Gonzaga over Alabama because he had the same final 4
Yeah.
as our
Yeah.
our bracket. So he had Duke, Alabama on one side, and then Texas, Gonzaga on the other, and he had Gonzaga beating Alabama or Alabama beating Gonzaga, right?
I think Alabama beating Gonzaga. Yeah.
All right. Well, all 5 of us have picked Alabama to win the national championship.
Roll Tide.
this
I
year.
hate that. I hate
That
it.
is that's fantastic, right? Like,
I
I've
mean,
got early
in our
returns.
Little
Early
tourney
returns
thing.
from
It's
some people, by the
early
way.
round off.
My dad, who's in this group, picked Gonzaga to win the whole thing. And a good friend of mine from Quinnipiac, Brendan O'Sullivan, he picked UConn to win the tournament this year. So shout out.
It was tough for me not to pick UConn. Also,
I saw
just
some other
throwing it out
analysts
there,
picking UConn.
I might have to switch to Arizona State.
I had
Oh, you can get me fired up for a Pac-12 team pretty
They're up
quickly.
27 right now in the first half.
Jesus, in the
Cheers.
first half.
Against Nevada?
I mean,
Yeah.
sure, Nevada's not good, but 51-24.
Who are they
Like
playing?
that?
Oh, they played TCU in the first round. TCU's my team.
You don't- You don't want a team dropping 100 on the first game. They're going to be hot. They're going to be
They're
feeling it going in.
They're going to use up all their gas that they're cooking with.
No, that's not how. What? There's no gas. There's no gas.
Score
tank.
law of averages. You score all your points, you're going to be out. I'm betting their
sure.
team total under.
Sure.
also let it be known
yeah.
that in November I placed a $1 bet on the Final Four.
Okay.
Oh my god.
I picked my Final Four in November, and it sadly can't happen
Oh,
because UConn and Arkansas are in the same bracket.
Oh.
oh,
I feel like,
that's
that should just be a refund.
I had Texas, Arkansas, UConn, and Houston. I placed that bet on November 28th, It was $1 to win 450.
But that's like an impossible bet
That's
to
just
hit
so
because
fucked to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
The
a
bracket-
down.
Yeah, no, but it's like
so
impossible
many good
because the
teams can
bracket
just be
needs
2-3, and then it's just
Yeah.
impossible.
Yeah. So I got shafted by the bracket on that one because I would have loved if I still had a chance to have that happen at this point. Would have been an
Yeah. So
all-time
easily hedge
sweat
that.
throughout the tournament.
That's tough. All right. That does it for our March Madness special here on Hot Stove. A couple things before we head out. Like I said, make sure to be back next week. We'll be doing our Hot Stove Madness episode. The following week, our MLB season preview. In the meantime, make sure to follow us on Twitter at Hot Stove Pod. That's at Hot Stove Pod on Twitter. And then here on YouTube, like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment on the video if you feel like commenting, smash
Ring that
those
bell.
fucking buttons, and ring the bell. God damn it. And you'll be notified whenever we post new shit. Thank you, Adam, for being on this episode. We'll definitely
Thank you,
have to
Adam.
get you back on
Thank you,
soon.
guys.
Shout out to Austin for giving us his face.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful.
It's a beautiful face.
Thank you all for watching and or listening. We love you, and we will see you next time.
Peace.
No,